Welcome everybody to another edition of the Hurry Up. I'm your host Adam. Let's get into this. So the NFL draft's first night took place yesterday, and boy, what a lot of surprises we had. No one didn't expect that that Young wouldn't go first overall, but C.J. Stroud number 2, not necessarily a surprise, but might have been a surprise because of how the Texans were portraying this draft the last couple days. But the surprise, I think, started in round 3 where the Texans traded up to go get Will Anderson. Thought that was a good move for them to get their guy. They obviously wanted to get their guy, and they did what most people don't do, is they were aggressive and made a play for their guys. They didn't wait and say, we're going to hope and do it. They were aggressive and made the play, which is good. Good for them. They have a cornerstone defensive end, hopefully, or outside linebacker, and a cornerstone quarterback. One of the quarterbacks I thought was probably the best overall quarterback in the draft in terms of just overall skill sets and what he brings to the table. And then you had, Anthony Richardson, surprise, went to the Colts. I didn't think he was going to go there. I thought they were in love with Will Levis. Obviously, that goes to show that Will Levis wasn't maybe not on their radar. Who knows what's happening with Will Levis? As a matter of fact, he dropped out of the first round. He's in the second round. He's hovering. We'll see where he goes now. Some people speculate it might be the Raiders. But man, that was one of the biggest surprises of them all, was Will Levis dropping to the second round. A lot of people had him in the first round. A lot of people had him going to the Colts. Almost a match made in heaven. So then you go down the line, a few other things happened. The biggest surprise for me as an NFC East fan is Jalen Carter going to the Philadelphia Eagles. It's like the rich get richer, the Seattle Seahawks taking a cornerback to help boost their back end of the team, the back end of their roster. They're doing a pretty good job. Pete Carroll knows what he's doing, and wow, did he strike gold in number 5. Jalen Carter is interesting because he goes in there. I know a lot of people said he had a lot of problems at college. Well, guess what? He's going to a team that has 2 of his teammates on there, Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean, and not to mention they got Smith, Nolan Smith. How in the world that guy fell to them? I had a feeling when he was dropping and the Eagles were coming, I'm like, watch them pick this guy. And they did. And now he's going to be terrorizing the NFC. It's funny because, the Redskins, they take Emmanuel Forbes, 166-pound cornerback, and he can play. A lot of people thought it was a reach. I don't know if it's a reach because people don't like him or didn't like him in that way, or it's a reach because the Commanders took him. Perception is always part of this as well. And then, the fact that the Cowboys then took Mazie Smith, it's kind of interesting. They needed a guy like that. I think the Giants jumped and got the guy that they wanted, which is Deontay Banks. And we'll talk about him in a minute. But Mazie Smith is kind of interesting. Run stuffer added to that defensive line. I was surprised they didn't take Nolan Smith as well, pair him up with Micah Parsons, but they have a couple good defensive players on that team already. They just added another one to help bluster the run game. I think that was one of the main reasons they did it. They need a guy that's going to terrorize the inside of the line. And as for Deontay Banks, good corner, top corner. Obviously slipped down to later rounds as you saw. Christian Gonzalez, he left. He went to the Pats, and a lot of the other corners were picked. Devontae Witherspoon and Emmanuel Forbes, like we talked about, they went early as well. The Lions, interesting. They took a corner and then they took a linebacker. It was kind of interesting to watch them dynamic. A lot of different things happening. 4 receivers went back to back to back. I don't know what the Vikings are doing. I like Jordan Addison, but to me, what was the weakness of your team? Your team's weakness last year, the reason you lost to the Giants in the playoffs wasn't because you didn't. Yes, they didn't have another offensive weapon, which would have helped. And, Adam Thielen was a good player, but not the dynamic player that he used to be. And I don't think that he helped out much either. And he was regressing, and that's why they didn't sign him this year. But so you bring in Addison, who, while, yes, on paper looks good, there was an issue back in the day when we were watching the game. Mark Schlereth said this. And I don't quote me fully, but he said the reason the Vikings are having some trouble on defense is because they invested a lot in their offense. Dalvin Cook, Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson. Well, guess what? Now they have Addison. So interesting pick there. I probably would have taken a corner if it were me. But then you had like Zay Flowers come off the board. You had Jackson Smith Enigma. He went to Seattle. That was an interesting move for them because they have Tyler Lockett now, Eric Metcalf. They can move him inside, and they do have Noah Fant, so they have a pretty potent offense. Not to mention Kenneth Walker Jr. or Kenneth Walker III, excuse me. So they have a lot going on. I think Seattle did a very good job in this draft. I think the Eagles did a very good job in this draft. A lot of teams did well, and that's only round one. There's a lot more surprises happening. We're going to see where Herndon Hooker goes, where Will Levis goes, just to name a few. But the draft night, number one, was exciting, was eventful, and fine. It moved pretty quickly, which is good. Good. You don't want to sit there with the Giants and pick their pick till 11 p.m. at night. So while it did move, it still took 3 hours to get to that position. So great first night, entire as an entity, and I know I'm missing a lot of other teams. There's 32 other teams, but guys, if I talk about all 32 teams, I'll be here till the sun comes up. But a few takeaways, like I said, Eagles I think did well, Seahawks did well, Lions is a wait and see kind of approach. The Texans, I think they had a interesting draft, and we'll see what they do this year, this week. And the Panthers, I think they're building something. Frank Wright likes their quarterback, and then a lot of teams that didn't get to draft, Miami, Cleveland, and the Rams. These teams are coming back into the second day tonight, so we'll see what they do and how they build their team. Should be fun to watch. You're going to see a lot more players chosen. A lot of guys still on the board. Joey Porter, a couple of the centers. Tippmann Schmidt still on the board. A lot of the receivers we like. Mingo is one of them, and a few others. Zay Flowers going to Baltimore was a perfect fit for him. Going there with that team, I think that fit right where we needed to go. They have Mark Andrews, they have Isaiah Likely, now they have Odell Beckham Jr. and Zay Flowers, not to mention their quarterback and then their running back. So they're looking to make some good moves. We'll see and then they spent money on defense with Roquan Smith. So they're looking to really make some noise. They could have and should have beaten Cincinnati last year in the playoffs had their quarterback been Lamar Jackson. We're probably talking about a different scenario there. Not to mention Lamar Jackson got paid before that. So good for the Ravens. You'll see Lamar Jackson on that team for a while. That's what happens when you play franchise guys. You give them the bag. You don't just give them modest deals. But we can get in that another time. But hey, like and subscribe. I just want to also say one more thing. Thank you to everyone getting me to 100 subscribers. It's been a long time coming. I appreciate it. Appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. I've been doing this a long time. Took me a while to get there, but I finally reached that plateau, and I'm looking forward to more stuff with you guys. I know you love viewing it, as I know that you've watched the show. So again, if you like it, if you're new to the channel, subscribe, hit the like button. Many more things are coming down the pike. There's a Hurry Up Live. I'm going to try to keep going. Again, hopefully that'll be Tuesdays at 10 a.m. as a staple going forward. There's premium takes that we do on Sundays. That'll probably happen this Sunday. We'll go over everything and all the different sports topics. Obviously, the draft will be paramount. And then, of course, there's the real deal NFC East Roundup. I don't do it as good as my co-host, Mac the Giant Fan, but he is on there with me. We're going to have our first episode this coming Wednesday to review all the picks in the NFC East. And give our thoughts on who won, what grades were going on, review some of the players. So it should be a lot of fun going forward. And I enjoy this journey with you guys. And I, again, want to thank you so much for getting me over 100 subscribers. Talk to you soon.